Today we are going to speak to Alla Efimova about voting as a form of resistance. You have been involved with electoral politics since the beginning of 2017. Why did you choose this as resistance activity?
I'm an art historian by training, a curator, and I always considered myself to be a liberal, but was not involved in politics, especially electoral politics, at all during my life in the States. The day after November 2016 election, I was traveling from New York back to California, and for the first time in almost 4 decades of living in this country, I was gripped by fear. I had, as a young Jewish woman in the former Soviet Union, I never wanted to feel that again. So as soon as I landed back in Oakland, I started looking at options and at different groups that was springing up literally in the days and weeks after the election. What made the most sense to me were grassroots groups that emphasized electoral politics as a way of eventually taking back control and having some checks and balances on the Republican Senate and administration. And one of them, and particularly what the organization called Swing Left, which focused on the House of Representatives, because all the three, as we know, three branches of the government are now controlled by Republicans. And our first opportunity to change that is by flipping the House of Representatives to a Democratic majority. It was the most logical way to get involved for me at that time.
The next question would be about the midterm elections in November. Democrats are pinning much hope on these midterm elections. Would you explain to us, please, why is it important?
As we know, what happened in the general elections in 2016, that all three branches of government turned Republican. As we seen, kind of watched the developments of the last year and a half, it's very difficult. Democrats have almost no way of putting brakes on the Republican agenda because they're outnumbered in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. First opportunity to actually make some difference and put the brakes on the administration is through ensuring that there is a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives. The Senate is more difficult to turn over, but the House presents the next kind of opportunity for action. There are 78 what's called swing districts that have been identified in the country. And that means that districts that went for Hillary Clinton in the general elections, they have a Republican representative. Usually in the swing districts, that difference was 5 to 15% Hillary versus Trump. In order to win the majority, we need to turn 24 seats out of those 78 seats. 24, if we turn them Democrat, from the Republicans, then we'll have the majority in the House. And it's considered to be kind of a very doable thing to do. There were 24 until March. One of those seats was turned Democrat, and that was the seat in Pennsylvania that Conor Lamb won, literally by 600 plus votes. The lesson from that was that A, it's doable, and B, that literally every vote counts. 600 is a very small margin. There's a lot of things that are in the Democrats' favor. In the last 60 years, the control of the House has changed hands 3 times, and always in midterm elections.
Right.
And with control shifting away, usually from the president's party. So if the president is a Republican, the control of the House will shift to Democrats and vice versa. But the issue is that there is very low voter turnout in midterm elections. So most people are aware and have passions about general elections, but not very aware about the midterm elections. There are now a lot of easy entry points. So it's not like working with just the Democratic Party and the establishments. There is a number of new grassroots, very young, social media savvy organizations such as Swing Left, which I've been working with. The most effective way to influence voters is one-on-one contact. You talk to people and you tell them why it's important and you educate them, and people are very open to it, and they're for the most part grateful for the information.
What would be your one sentence advice for someone who is not involved in elections or election politics at all, but is interested now listening to you?
You go to swingleft.org. You'll learn about everything about swing districts. There is a calendar, online calendar of phone banking. There is something now called Swing Left Academy, which is online training for new volunteers. It's just so simple. In like 10 minutes, it's basically about being open and being kind of receptive and being able to connect to people and talk to them as your neighbor.
Something that you offer here is being proactive and turning your frustration or turning your sadness into something concrete. This is just one way of doing it. Go to swingleft.org website and there will be plenty of resources, and this could be the first step for you today. Right after you finish watching our interview, just check it out and see if this is for you. Speaking of the website and schedules, we can look into the upcoming milestones and events.
June 5th is the primary elections. And so we need to keep an eye on that and make sure that we all vote in the primaries. In fact, the weekend before that, which is the 2nd and the 3rd of June, is if we could all help encourage other people to vote.
Your background is in art history and curating galleries and museums. Can you talk a little bit about how do you bring your skills and your vision to the activist work?
Most recently, I've partnered with a photographer, Avis Stackenfeld. We interview people, the voters, we interview Bay Area activists, some of the Democratic candidates. We publish them on Medium and then through social media.
If you were to sum up the whole message to our viewers, what would it be?
We live still in a democracy where votes do matter. I see it now every day, and I see it so clearly. It's not all rigged and gamed. It's possible to get the country back.
I agree. And we're on the channel that is called Russian Propaganda Explained.
Yes.
So some people might be wondering, what does it have to do with the Russian propaganda? And I want to bring that perspective in. At this stage in time, we are not talking about some posters or pamphlets or trolls that are attacking your personal Facebook wall. We're talking about a hybrid war, and there is a lot of documents from European Parliament and from the United States government confirming these conclusions. And one way of confronting or pushing back against it is actually living our life the way we know it and holding up to our values, holding up to our foundation, and being proactive about voting and exercising our right to vote is one of the best ways to push against this attack.
I think I like that very much.
We hope that you have enjoyed our brief interview. Please check out swingleft.org, Alla's Medium account, and we will be back with more interviews. Thank you for listening, and thank you so much, Alla, for doing what you're doing. This is very important work, and thank you for talking to us today.